What's up YouTube? Back with another video, and today I'm going to go over the Hawks 2018 Freelance. So let's get into it. So if we read the description, it says best for aggressive scoring point guards, and the player example they give is Trae Young. And if you look at the spacing, that diagram is not really how it'll actually look. It'll look more like this. So you'll have a player in each corner, a player on the wing, your center at the elbow, and your point guard in the middle at the top. And most of the offense will be initiated from the middle, and that's where like the most branches and the most actions will be. There are also branches and actions that can happen if you start on the wing as well as the corner, but most of the offense is initiated from the top. And if you look at types of actions, you'll see ball screen, pick and roll, and off screen. So there's a lot of pick and roll with the center and everybody else spacing the floor. There's some like double pick and rolls, wing pick and rolls, and there's a few off screen plays to get some threes. Some of them are single screens, some of them are double screens that your shooters will use to try to get open for a three. Positives: up-tempo offense with emphasis on ball screens. Negatives: very few post-scoring actions, not ideal for slow-tempo teams. So if you have a team that has a big man that you want to play through in the post, this Freelance might not be the best choice, because your center in this Freelance is pretty much going to be a screener and just roll to the rim to catch lobs. And he spends a lot of time like near the elbow and not really on the block posting up. So he's not going to get a lot of scoring opportunities. Now getting into some of the actions that you'll see. Like I said earlier, a lot of the offense is initiated from the middle, and that's where most of the actions are. But there are actions that will happen if you initiate from the wing as well as the corner. So I'm going to start with actions from the middle and then show you actions from the wing and then the corner. So one action is just a middle pick and roll. So right here I have the ball at the top with Trae Young, and Capella comes up to set me a screen, and I attack the basket and get a layup. Now if we look at that again and you pay attention to the arrow, it'll go under the 3-point line, showing that I'm supposed to attack off of this. And as I get closer to the basket, there's also an option for me to pass to Gallinari, who's cutting, but to be honest, he's never almost going to be open on that, so you're better off just either taking a layup or a mid-range. Now in this instance, Capella sets me a screen and Valanciunas plays up way too high, so he slips and I pass him the ball and he gets a dunk. But if you pay attention to the arrows, you will see that this arrow is above the 3-point line, showing that I'm not really supposed to attack on it, even though you can if you see a lane. But it was actually designed for me to dribble to the wing and Capella will screen me again, and then I will use that screen to go back middle. But the AI noticed that the defender played up too high, so he slipped and I got him an easy dunk. This next action is designed to get you a 3-point shot. So right here I bring the ball up the middle and then I pass it off to the wing. Then Capella and Trae Young both set a screen for Gallinari. He comes up to the top of the key and gets open for a 3. So here's another example of this. I bring the ball up the middle, pass it off to the wing, and this time it's John Collins. He runs through the screens, even though Trae Young doesn't even really set the screen. He just stands there, but either way, I still end up getting an open 3. This next action is going to be a handoff that leads to a dunk. So right here, I bring the ball up the middle and I pass it to Capella at the elbow. Then I dribble over to Gallinari and hold B to do a handoff and attack the rim, and he gets a dunk. This next action ends up being a wing pick and roll. So right here, I bring the ball up the middle and then I dribble to the wing. Then Capella sets a screen for me. I go back middle and pull up for the mid-range. This next action ends up being a double ball screen twice. So I bring the ball up the middle and pass it to Bogdanovich. Then Capella and Trae Young both set a screen for him, and then I dribble to the opposite wing, but I'm not open and I don't have a lane, so they come back, set the screens again. Then I attack, go down the middle, take a bad shot, but I still make it. This action right here is another action designed to get you a 3-point shot. So right here, I bring the ball up the middle, but this time, instead of passing it to the wing, I pass it to Capella at the elbow. And then Trae Young and Bogdanovich both set a screen for Gallinari and pass it to him on the wing, and he gets a long 2, but it's supposed to be a 3. Now, if we look at this play again, it shows that Gallinari is actually supposed to come up to the top, but Morant looks like he wants to jump the passing lane. So I guess the AI notices that, and instead of coming up to the top, he kind of just like backs up, and the defense gets confused. So he ends up being wide open. This next action ends up being a pick and fade with Gallinari. So right here, I bring the ball up the middle. Then Capella sets a screen for Gallinari, and then Gallinari comes up to set a screen for me. Ja Morant falls over, and I pull a 3. This next action is a double screen for your ball handler. So right here, I bring the ball up with Trae Young, and Capella sets a screen for Collins, but then they both set a screen for Trae Young, and I attack the rim and get a layup. This next action is a off-ball screen that leads to a 3. So I bring the ball up with Trae Young, and then Gallinari sets a screen for me, and I dribble to the wing, and then Capella will set a screen for Gallinari, and he'll run to the opposite wing and get open for a 3. Now, getting into the wing actions, this first one is just a wing pick and roll. So I bring the ball up the court, and Bogdanovic sets the screen, or at least he's supposed to set a screen for Capella, and then Capella comes sets the screen for me, and I drive down the middle and get a layup. This next action ends up being a pick and roll, but not for your point guard. It's for your shooting guard or small forward, depending on who's on the wing. So right here, I have the ball on the wing, then I pass it to Gallinari at the top, and then the Freelance goes into a pick and roll with him and Capella, and I get a dunk. This next action ends up being a middle pick and roll. So I start with the ball on the wing, then I pass it to Gallinari at the top, then I give it back to Trae Young with a handoff, and I dribble to the wing, then come back middle, get a screen from Capella, and shoot a mid-range. This next action ends up being an off-ball screen that leads to a 3. So right here, I have the ball with Trae Young on the wing. I'll pass it to Capella at the top. Then Trae Young sets the screen for Gallinari. Then Gallinari comes up to the wing and gets open for a 3. This right here is another off-ball screen action, but you end up with a 3 in the corner. So I have the ball with Trae Young on the wing. I pass it to Capella at the top. Then Gallinari comes up and sets a screen for Trae Young. Then Trae goes to the corner, and I get a 3. But to be honest, this action doesn't really work that much, but it's an option. Now, getting into the corner actions, there's only one, which leads to a lob. So right here, I have the ball in the corner with Bogdanovic. Then Capella will set a screen for Gallinari, and Gallinari will cut to the rim. He gets behind Winslow, and I throw him a lob. There are also a couple of actions that will happen in transition as well. So right here, I force a miss, and I don't really have numbers, so I dribble the ball up the middle, and Collins comes, sets me a screen, and he rolls and gets a dunk. This is another transition pick and roll, but this time on the wing. So I force a miss. I pass the ball up the court to Trae Young. Collins comes, sets me a screen, but this time I'll take it all away and get a layup. So those are pretty much all the actions that you'll see, and just like with any freelance, you can freestyle and do your own thing. So you can call for manual pick and rolls or pick and fades. You can send people on manual cuts, even though the manual cuts this year they changed and they're so bad that I don't even use them anymore, which is unfortunate because I really like the ability to do that, and they were so effective last year. But getting into my thoughts about this freelance, I haven't used it online yet, so be on the lookout for a gameplay video in which I do use it. But it seems like a pretty good freelance, and it says that it's good for aggressive point guards, which is true, but it's also good if your wings are, you know, decent ball handlers and good shooters, because a lot of the actions have them in pick and roll when they handle the ball, as well as coming off of screens and shooting. And this freelance also has a lot of variety, so it's not easy for the defense to predict what you're gonna do next like some other freelances. So that's good, but at the same time, there's no way to like manipulate the freelance to like do a certain action. So an example would be like, I know the point freelance is a freelance that I ran a lot, and I know that if I stand on the wing, the player that's in the opposite corner will run through 2 screens to the top of the key and get open for a 3, and that'll happen every single time I stand on the wing. So that freelance is easy to manipulate to force a certain action, but at the same time it can get predictable. Whereas this freelance is a lot more variety and it's less predictable, but there's no real way to pick or force a certain action to happen. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. Let me know what freelance you want to see next. I hope this helped you. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more content.